All right, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Weird Science. Woo! 1985. Giving this one 2 out of 5 stars. Just like this lamestream flick. One of the Australian mates recommended to this lamestream movie to me years ago. Um, it could have been Adrian or Karate Man. I can't remember. Karate Man likes to recommend the occasional lamestream comedy. But then again, one of Adrian's girlfriends might have forced him to watch that, and he said, "Oh, Weird Science. Chuck Norris is watching from heaven." I don't know. He's probably burning in hell because he hung out with Mike Huckabee, the guitar playing evangelical nut who wants to blow up the Middle East. Oh, Karate Man's in the chat room grieving for Chuck Norris for no apparent reason. Chuck Norris was a neocon warhawk. Mike Huckabee. He is sparring with Bruce Lee in the crowds. Sounds like blasphemy. Okay, Weird Science is a 1985 U.S. teen science fantasy comedy film written and directed by John Hughes. John Hughes did 16 Candles, another lamestream comedy. Is that with Long Duck Dong? 16 Candles? Ferris Bueller's Days Off. So this is super, super lamestream, this movie. We got to give John Hughes writing and directing credit here. Oh, Steve James from the American Ninja series is in this one. He's got a little cameo playing the token black dude. Written by. All right. This one stars Anthony Michael Hall. We remember him from 16 Candles. Ian Mitchell Smith and Kelly LeBrock, some British actress who is really annoying and lame in this. The Ian Mitchell Smith, the sniveling, whining teenager, I couldn't stand that guy. Why did the gal from Friday the 13th final chapter fall for this guy? It is based on the 1951 pre-comics code comic Made of the Future by Al Feldstein, which appeared in the magazine of the same name. The title song was written and performed by U.S. new wave band Oingo Boingo. We forgot to put the soundtrack on there. And coincidentally, Steve James was also in 2 Chuck Norris movies, The Delta Force and Hero and the Terror. I think he was in some Dudikoff movies more than Chuck Norris, but thanks for the little tidbit. The film was released by Universal Pictures on August 2nd, 1985, and it grossed $38.9 million against a $7.5 million budget while receiving positive reviews. This film is regarded as a cult classic. I don't know why. Even my boss talks about this movie at work. She said, "You can't make a movie like this anymore." Yeah, well, I guess not. 23-year-old. Having a 23-year-old and a 16-year-old, I think that's called statutory rape, if I'm not mistaken. But they have this platonic relationship, so it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird late 80s, early 90s kind of thing where they're thinking about hopping in bed with each other, but they're just hanging out and going to parties and stuff. It's kind of, this movie is nuts. And what is Bill Paxton doing? He's like, Bill Paxton is a super annoying bully big brother. I couldn't stand him either. All right. We've got production companies Hughes Entertainment and Silver Pictures, distributed by Universal Pictures. Release date August 2nd, 1985 in the US. Runtime 94 minutes. Oh, I stopped this last night. I stopped this. I went to go see Miss Rebecca. I did the Stations of the Cross. I think Miss Rebecca got there at station number 12. And I gave her a couple nice veils, which she really liked. And we ended up kissing goodnight. That was the most exciting Stations of the Cross date that I ever had, because it was the only Stations of the Cross date I ever had. All right. Nerdy social outcast students Gary Wallace and Wyatt Donnelly of Shimmer High School are humiliated by senior jocks Ian and Max, played by Robert Downey Jr. for swooning over their cheerleader girlfriends, Deb and Hilly. Deb and Hilly actually look better than the fake British model in Weird Science. Country United States, language English, budget of $7.5 million, and a box office of $38.9 million. So not only was it a box office hit in 1985, but it also got good reviews. Humiliated and disappointed at their direction in life and wanting more, Gary convinces the uptight Wyatt that they need a boost in popularity in order to win their crushes away from Ian and Max. Alone for the weekend with Wyatt's parents gone, Gary is inspired by the 1931 film Frankenstein. I thought it was Bride of Frankenstein, because you've got Dwight Frye as Fritz in there, to create a virtual woman using Wyatt's computer, infusing her with everything they conceive of to make the perfect dream woman. Yeah, right. So you're just going to make a clone out of a computer? This is one of those 80 movies where they tried to overhype the capabilities of computers. In this case, the computer, the Apple IIe is able to create a woman out of thin air after hacking into some government mainframe. After they hook electrodes to a doll and hack into a government computer system for more power. A power surge creates Lisa. I guess it's the same concept as Frankenstein. They're using computers to create a power surge instead of lightning. A beautiful and intelligent woman with reality altering powers. How did she get those? She promptly produces a pink 1959 Cadillac Eldorado. What is this? Is she Weird Science doll, or is she Angeline? She promptly produces a pink 1959 Cadillac Eldorado convertible to take the boys to a blues dive bar in Chicago. This is where Steve James is hanging out with the boys, using her powers to procure fake IDs for them. So Steve James is sitting around with the boys listening to blues music in some dive bar in Chicago. He's on the screen for 5 minutes and then we don't see him again. They return home drunk where Chet, Wyatt's mean older brother, extorts $175 from Wyatt in exchange for his silence. $175 is a lot of dough for 1985. When I was working at Burger King for $3.15 an hour, it'd probably take me about 5 months to save up that amount of money. Lisa agrees to keep herself hidden from him, but she realizes that Gary and Wyatt, while sweet, are very uptight and they need to unwind. After another humiliating experience at the mall, when Max and Ian pour their slushy on Gary and Wyatt in front of a crowd, Lisa tells the bullies about a party at Wyatt's house before driving off in a Porsche 928 she conjured for Gary. And magically, their clothes are clean. And they're driving around in a Porsche in the next scene. Despite Wyatt's protests, Lisa insists that the party take place. She meets Gary's parents, Al and Lucy, who are shocked and dismayed at the things she says and her frank manner to Gary's embarrassment after she pulls a stainless steel 44 Magnum handgun on them, later revealed to Gary to be a water pistol. She alters their memories so that Lucy forgets about the conflict. However, Al forgets altogether that they had a son. Don't ask me to explain that. It's just supposed to be funny, I guess. At the I only laughed a couple times at this. And there is one nude scene. That's why I'm not giving it 1 out of 5. The soundtrack was okay. I'm not crazy about Oingo Boingo. Although they did make a decent movie called Forbidden Zone. I like that movie. At the Donnelly house, the party had spun out of control. Gary and Wyatt take refuge in the bathroom where they resolve to have fun, despite having embarrassed themselves in front of Deb and Healy in Wyatt's bathroom. Ian and Max convince Gary and Wyatt to recreate the events that created Lisa, but the process fails. Lisa chides them over their misuse of the process to impress their tormentors. She also explains that they forgot to connect the doll, thus with the bare but live electrodes resting on a magazine page showing a Pershing 2 medium-range ballistic missile. A real missile emerges, erupting through the floor and ceiling of the house. You really have to suspend disbelief in this one. This is like Frankenstein 10 times. pretty much, Karate Man says pretty much a lot of the co-stars in nearly all the Chuck Norris movies have all passed. Kelly LeBrock is Steven Seagal's ex-wife. So the so the Weird Science 23-year-old doll, it used to be Steven Seagal's wife. That's what Karate Man is saying. This is such a great movie. Been so too long, man. I've been super busy. Avenger 6 is in the chat room. I don't know. I wasn't too crazy about this movie. I thought it was kind of ridiculous and over the top. Meanwhile, Wyatt's grandparents arrive and they confront Lisa about the party, but she places them in a frozen catatonic state, and she hides them in the kitchen cupboard. Lisa realizes that the boys need a challenge to boost their confidence, and she has a gang of mutant bikers crash the party, causing chaos and terrorizing the guests. We've got Vernon Wells as Lord General, a character reflecting his Mad Max 2 role. And then you've got Michael Berryman from The Hills Have Eyes as the motorcycle riders. They look like the lead singer of Judas Priest. Lisa realizes that the boys need a challenge to boost their confidence. Lisa has a gang of mutant bikers crash the party, causing chaos and terrorizing the guests. The bikers take Deb and Hilly hostage. Wyatt and Gary confront the bikers, which causes Deb and Hilly to fall in love with the boys. So we've got the 25-year-old teenagers with their frizzy 85 hairdos and their androgynous girl clothes. Yeah, if I had to choose between Steven Seagal's ex-wife and Deb and Hilly, I think I picked Deb and Hilly. Smart choice. The only intelligent thing that these two boys do is to fall in love with Deb and Hilly. The bikers leave. The next, they just say, "Oh, sorry, God bless you." The next morning, Chet returns from duck hunting to discover his home in disarray. A localized snowstorm fills his room, and a huge missile stands in the middle of the house. Lisa has the boys escort the girls home while she talks to Chet alone. Gary and Wyatt proclaim their feelings, and both girls reciprocate. Oh, my kind of girl. You know, I really think you're better looking than the doll that I created from this computer. Oh, thank you. Let's sleep together with our clothes on. Returning to the house, the boys discover Chet, now transformed into a foul, talking toad-like creature. Here we go with more ridiculousness. This is like a cartoon. He apologizes to Wyatt for his behavior. Wow, turning Chet into a toad made him into a nice, pleasant person to be around. As Chet is eating flies with his tongue, like a frog. Upstairs, Lisa assures them that Chet will soon return to normal, and realizing that her purpose is complete, tearfully hugs both Gary and Wyatt before dematerializing for no apparent reason. As she leaves, the house is magically cleaned and everything transformed back to normal, including Chet. Wyatt's parents return home completely unaware that anything unusual has happened. Hughes regular John Kapalos plays Dino, while Playboy playmate Ken Mallon, May 1982, has a cameo as a girl playing piano. The film incorporated clips of Dr. Frankenstein and his monster, played by Colin, Clive, and Boris Karloff, taken from the films Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. A clip of David Lee Roth taken from the music video for the recording of Just a Gigolo, I Ain't Got Nobody also appeared. Model Kelly Emberg was initially cast as Lisa, but left after 2 days due to creative differences. Yeah, I'd leave too. LeBrock was hired after her replacement, Vernon Wells, reprises his memorable biker character Wes from Mad Max 2, but is credited in this movie as Lord General. Filming was originally planned to begin on September 4th, 1984 in Skokie, Illinois, but it was ultimately delayed to October 2nd, 1984, and the location changed to the Northbrook Court Shopping Mall in Northbrook, Illinois. Most of the location shooting was filmed around neighborhoods outside of Chicago, Illinois, while the rest of the production was filmed on sound stages and the back lot at Universal City Studios in Los Angeles, California. Production wrapped up on December 21st, 1984. The production was kept closed in order to keep the film's plot a secret. There is a plot in this? Really? Roger Ebert, who gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, called LeBrock's wonderful in a role and thought that as a result, the film was funnier and a little deeper than the predictable story it might have been. Like I said, I only laughed twice in this one. I guess my sense of humor isn't what it should be compared to Roger Ebert. Janet Maslin of the New York Times wrote that Mr. Hughes shows that he can share the kind of dumb joke that only a 14-year-old boy could love. There are enough movie-going 14-year-old boys to make a hit out of Weird Science, of course. But for the rest of the population, its pandering is strenuous enough to be cause for alarm. Variety wrote, Weird Science is not nearly as weird as it should have been, and in fact, it is rather conventional kids in heat film, and a chaste one at that. Director-writer John Hughes squanders the opportunity to comment on the power struggle between the sexes for a few easy laughs. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave the film 1.5 stars out of 4 and wrote, what a disappointment Weird Science is. A wonderful writer-director has taken a cute idea about 2 teenage Dr. Frankensteins creating a perfect woman by computer and turned it into a vulgar, mindless, special effects cluttered wasteland. For once, I agree with Gene Siskel. I don't know what Roger Ebert is thinking. Sheila Benson of the LA Times described LeBrock as triumphant and the film's greatest asset, but thought the film's appeal was limited to audiences of 15-year-old boys, and maybe the 16-year-olds if they aren't too fussy. Rita Kempley of the Washington Post wrote, unbelievably, John Hughes, the maker of 16 Candles and the Breakfast Club, writes and directs this snickering, sordid special effects fantasy with Kelly LeBrock in a demeaning role as love slave to a pair of 15-year-olds. It is demeaning. That's why it can't be made these days. It's an 80s movie. On the review aggregator website, Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 60% based on 40 reviews, with an average rating of 5.7 out of 10. The website's critic consensus reads, hardly in the same league as John Hughes' other teen movies, the resolutely goofy Weird Science nonetheless gets some laughs via its ridiculous premise and enjoyable performances. It grossed $23,834,048 in North America and $15.1 million in other territories, totaling $38,934,048 worldwide. The film's theme song, Weird Science, was performed by Oingo Boingo and written by band's frontman Danny Elfman. The soundtrack album was released on MCA Records. You got A Weird Science by Oingo Boingo. 80s by Killing Joke, and then you've got Tenderness for about 30 seconds. Television series based on the film for 88 episodes from 1994 to 1998. Following the same basic plot as the film, the series stars Vanessa Angel as Lisa, Michael Manasiri as Wyatt, John Mallory Asher as Gary, and Lee Tergesen as Chet. As of 2013, Universal Studios was planning a Weird Science remake with original producer John Silver returning and Michael Bacall writing the film. The film was set to attempt to distinguish itself from the original Weird Science by being an edgier comedy in line with 21 Jump Street and The Hangover, which were R-rated. The studio stating the rating for this Weird Science remake was not certain at that stage of the movie's development. However, nothing of the remake has materialized since. In 2017, Ilan Mitchell-Smith speculated about his own idea for a sequel to Weird Science, which would star Channing Tatum. Ratings. In terms of popularity, it's ranked 1,804, up 682. Two high school nerds use a computer program to literally create the perfect woman who promptly turns their lives upside down. All right. Here's a more flattering review from Fall Keep. Fall Keep gives this one a 7 out of 10. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. The date of the review is August 7th. I showed this movie and previewed it before it even opened. The one thing which struck me upon first viewing it was that it is essentially a teenage version of Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat, right down to the house being magically cleaned up and the last piece of furniture sliding into place just as the parents return home to find everything as they left it. I always wondered if Hughes borrowed the plot on purpose or if he wrote Weird Science without realizing its commonalities with one of the best loved children's story of all times. Anyone have opinions on that? Well, I don't think there was a plot in this unless I missed something. More like the 16 in the dirty ashtray was based on something his father John Paxton used to say to him when Bill was hungover from a night of drinking. At around 1 hour, a split second before the motorcycle crashes the large window, the pane shatters before the bike hits it. Lisa is quoted as saying, "So what would you little maniacs like to do first?" And of course, they watch her shower with their clothes on. As the end credits roll is ready to begin, Kelly LeBrock's character smiles, winks at the camera. In the basic cable version, the line "in the family jewels" was changed to "in the flippin' gizzard." This was edited from 16 Candles, 1984. A soundtrack's Weird Science performed by Oingo Boingo, produced by Danny Elfman and Steve Bartek. How long is Weird Science? Well, it's an hour, 34 minutes. It felt like 5 hours. I had to stop it about a third of the way through. I was definitely not intrigued by this movie. Release date August 2nd, 1985 in the US. Country of origin US. Language English, also known as La Mujer Explosiva. Filming locations Northbrook Court Mall, 2290 Northbrook Court, Northbrook, Illinois, USA. Production company Universal Pictures. A box office of $7,500,000. Opening weekend, US and Canada, $4,895,421 on August 4th, 1985. Gross US and Canada, 23 million, $834,048. And gross worldwide, $38,934,048. That looks more accurate this time. Runtime 1 hour 34 minutes, 94 minutes too long. It's in color. The sound mix is Dolby Stereo, and the aspect ratio is 1.85 to 1. So basically, we're going to go with the Gene Siskel evaluation of this one. Out of 5. I think Gene Siskel gave it a 1.5 out of 4. Which is Gene Siskel. All right, going down the list, we've got number 1, The Inner Circle, 1946. Number 2, The Ip Man, 2008. And number 3, Don Bosco, 2004. So those are the next 3 movies coming down to Karate Man Avenger 6 for contributing in the chat room. And I guess I'll take a little nap. The Inner Circle, I'm a little bit behind because I went to Stations of the Cross with Miss Rebecca last night at St. Dominic's. And then I ended up sleeping for 12 hours. I woke up, ran to McDonald's, came back here, finished up Weird Science, and it's already midday. So I was planning to do 4 reviews today and Monday. It looks like I'm only going to get to 3. All right. Well, that's the end of my review. Thanks for checking out my channel. I'm sure I'll get tons of views on this, seeing how lamestream it is, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll check out the inner circle and I'll get back to you later today.